It says, Aquaman 2 will take on climate change as a major plot point. See, the problem is, guys, these studios never learn. And they don't understand what is good press and what is bad press. I put a poll up in the chat today. I'm going to do my best to remember to close it out. I said, what is a worse movie villain, Amber Heard or climate change? Right now, Amber Heard is winning, so that says something about how much people are scared of climate change. Apparently, they're not as scared of that as we thought they'd be.
I mean, look, I have a probably an old man opinion on climate change, which is it's a big lie. And the reason I feel like that is because it's been the same line since 2006 with The Inconvenient Truth, that movie by Al Gore, right? Yeah. It was supposed to be that all the shorelines would be different by now, and the seas were going to rise and all the ice is going to go away. That was almost 20 years ago now.
See, I would be okay if they did one thing. Instead of making Aquaman 2 about climate change, I want them to make an AI version of the movie Day After Tomorrow where they just drop Aquaman into the movie Day After Tomorrow and have him save the world instead of just making another Aquaman movie.
I feel like there would be pickup shots necessary.
That just a couple.
There would
just
probably
a couple.
be some pickup shots necessary.
All right, so it says, I think people are going to be excited to see this movie. That the movie is quite different from the first film in terms of tone. It's a little bit more serious, and we're dealing with issues like climate change. Stop right there.
I feel
nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, no, like
literally zero people, and the ones that do want to see it don't have money and cannot afford to buy a ticket.
Haven't we passed the point where like deconstruction of existing narratives is a compelling storyline? It's like you don't need to take narratives that resonate with people and just turn them on their head.
Yeah.
Because it's been done. Like the whole postmodern thing is over. Like it's done, and now like it's like the people that are creating art haven't realized that the people that are consuming these products and going to see movies, it's like they don't realize that these people are over the whole deconstruction thing. Yeah. It's like I want to see the good guys win, and I want to see the good guys actually being good. I understand that the real world has nuance, and that, you know, sometimes bad things happen. But that doesn't mean that I want to go and have my entertainment constantly shoving down my throat that there are negative aspects to life. I know. I'm living it. Give me some sunshine, damn it.
The problem is they're afraid to tell new stories. Therefore, when all you tell is the same stories over again, to make it new, you have to do deconstructionist stories.
Ugh.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to see an Aquaman prequel that goes back to Meltwater Pulse 1B, then explains how Göbekli Tepe got there. That's what I want.
Do you know a lot about Atlantis?
No, decent amount. But the thing is with Atlantis, it's been factored into a bunch of early catastrophe theories just like this. Climate catastrophism has been around for 200 years.
Somebody said it's been around since the 1800s.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people in even the late 1700s who start talking about all of these times in history they believe that the Earth has had a major reset. Of course, back then the belief was that whenever the poles switch, the magnetic poles, it weakens the magnetic field.
You still hear people talking about
Oh yeah, people still think this. But that basically what happens is the magnetic field weakens, and this allows the usually solid molten like core, not core, the asthenosphere is the exact layer, allows that to become liquid, which allows the crust to move like 90 degrees on the mantle.
So you should make this Aquaman movie where
and it's complete nonsense. It's one of the most unscientific things I've ever heard. Man. But they've been pushing stuff, you know, and that kind of faded out after the 1960s.
Yeah.
But that's something that they pushed. Like Einstein wrote that this was something that should be investigated. A lot of people be like, Einstein believed in it. No, Einstein said it should be investigated. Yeah. But people have been on the whole the world is ending thing, and Correct. It's the climate for 200 years.
We've got a $20 super chat. At least I think it's $27.99 from, I think that's Canadian,
Canadian
currency.
So probably about right.
It's a very polite currency. It says, I'll take climate change over woke race gender moralizing any day of the week.
No, you won't. You get them both. Exactly.
You do have to get them both.
They're the same thing. You don't get one or the other, because the whole reason for you to worry about climate change isn't because it's going to mess up your life. It's because it's going to mess up a POC from Africa's life or something like that.
Jane Fonda just came out and said that white men are the problem with climate change and they should all be arrested. What I love about it is like all of these topics, like the funniest things have become like topical and politicized, like landlords. That's my favorite out of all of them.
God.
They freaking hate landlords. More like I want to see a movie where Aquaman fights a landlord. That's what I want. I want to see a one where like he's under the sea, you know, he's at the bottom in Atlantis, and there's a bad Atlantis landlord who's charging too much rent to other Atlanteans, and he has to go and he has to take him out. I will watch that movie for the lulz, but it's not like they would treat that the same as they would treat any of these themes.
If they make that movie, I'm going to seek Canadian healthcare.
So James Wan goes on. He says, we're not afraid to lean into that in a big way. Well, leaning into climate change as a story is the stupidest thing I've ever
Like
heard.
leaning into cancer.
It just doesn't make sense.
Because the Aquaman comic book, even back then, has always been environmentally conscious. I don't care. Nobody wants it in your movie. He's always been someone who's fought to keep the ocean clean. Again,
but that's the thing. Is
we're
like,
not talking
keep the
about
ocean clean.
Then we're talking about more ocean.
Yeah.
More ocean, more water, more ice. Or more, the ice melts.
Yep.
And the thing is, if this was going to be if we were going to do a movie about Aquaman and climate change that made sense, I feel like having Aquaman fight against the Great Pacific Garbage Patch would be the way to go. Like Aquaman cleans up the Pacific would be the movie.
Wait, or like no, like maybe what it is like
he's fighting Japanese whalers.
It's it's always they're always talking about the ice caps melting, or like look at the iceberg, or like what is it? What are things that are always breaking off? Like is it ice?
Just ice shelf pieces of the ice shelf. Yeah.
Like what they need to do is they need to create their own iconic version of like in Spider-Man, where he holds the two parts of the bridge together, where Aquaman brings two parts of an ice cap together and pulls them back to the center. It would be hilarious. I would watch that. It's stupid, but look, what I'm saying is like you could make all of these themes. The problem is when you start advertising it this way and you start throwing out the buzzwords, people don't like it. People don't want to hear it.
Nope.
People don't care. They don't. Like, they want to see Aquaman. What they care about is Jason Momoa looking shredded without a shirt on.
Precisely.
Like, you could melt the polar ice caps and destroy humanity, but as long as he does so with his shirt off, most of the people going to see this won't care. Like, actually, I have no idea whether this... I'm sure it's still skewed male, but...
I personally would like to know Khal Drogo's opinions on climate change.
That would be fantastic.
The guy he played in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, did the people in Game of Thrones care about climate change? I don't think so.
Those dragons are emitting a lot of CO2.
They were burning things with dragon breath.
They didn't care.
Not care.
They didn't care one bit.
Not one bit. And they were right to not care.
So, you know, it is what it is, but we'll see what ends up coming of all this.
It is. It's cancer.
But to me, this and The Flash are both polling low as far as like what their opening box offices are going to be. But I think The Flash has the benefit of more cameos than Aquaman.
Yeah, The Flash actually, part of me wants to see it because of Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I mean that's why a lot of people are going. I want to see it because I want to see Superman Nicolas Cage. That's the real reason I'm going.
Huh?
Oh yeah, he's making a cameo.
Nicolas Cage?
Because he was originally going to be Superman in like 2006, before the Brandon Routh Superman.
Yeah, like
Wow.
They're like, look, let's just take the least impactful character that was in Justice League and make a movie about him, and then just like
No, that would be Cyborg.
You think Cyborg? Well, I don't know.
In the theater version of it, easily Cyborg. Cyborg was way more important in the HBO Max version of it, the Snyder cut, that was like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
But then you had to sit through 4 hours, which I did do.
I mean, I actually was interested in seeing the Snyder cut. I watched it, so
it's good.
Yeah, I don't.
It's just not a movie. It's two movies.
It's long.
I don't hate any of the DC stuff. Like I really I know there's a lot of people that have plenty of criticism for the DC stuff, and I think that most of the criticism with the DC stuff is because the bad guys are not compelling. I think that's
usually a Marvel problem.
Well,
that's usually a Marvel problem.
That really was in Justice League. It was real. Like the bad guys are just not compelling. The Batman versus Superman, the
extended
Doomsday
edition is really good.
Doomsday was good,
yeah.
But otherwise, like the JLA Batman bad guys were not compelling. Even though Wonder Woman, the first one was all right.
The second one was bad.
I didn't see that one.
The second one was bad.
But even still, the bad guy in that one, he wasn't Ares or whatever. It was like, this is supposed to be a god, and it's like kind of whatever, It wasn't compelling. So I don't have a lot of problem with the DC movies, and I think that they really set it up to be good. But Ezra
Did you see
Miller's
Shazam? You should watch the original Shazam. I still haven't gotten around to finish. I've gotten 3/4 of the way through the sequel, but it's like it looks like Lucy Liu is really bored the whole movie. It's really fun. She looks like she looks really uninterested. Her and I think it's Helen Mirren just look really uninterested. Ooh, John Doe says Mr. Terrific movie. That would actually be kind of cool. I don't think they're ever going to do that with a character that's that B or C list. They're going to stick to the main. They can't even get the main characters right. So we'll see once they can get the main characters right. But yeah, let's just say for the sake of argument that Aquaman does, because Aquaman made $1 billion. The first, I still have no idea how, but the power of Jason Momoa. Sure. I
really think it was just that between Jason Momoa and Amber Heard, there was eye candy for everybody.
I don't even remember if she was in. I don't think the controversy was going on.
No, it wasn't yet.
I barely remember her in that movie. Yeah. She did not have any kind of impact.
No, but they sure as hell advertised that she was in that movie. Yep.
By the way, let's look at the poll right now. So far, 76% are still saying that Amber Heard is the bigger threat to humanity rather than climate change. So that tells you what
climate change is not real.
Amber Heard is an existential threat to humanity. That's what they're saying here. What would you like to see? So the problem here is the advertising, right? They're advertising climate change. What's something you would like to see them advertise that would actually get you interested to go see a movie?
I mean, and now that you guys mentioned it, fighting the garbage patch.
Yeah.
Is good.
I'm not even kidding.
Like, if it turned into, I mean, you're talking about, comics, so it could literally take on a shape somehow, and maybe it's the spirit of the deep takes on the shape or inhabits the garbage patch, and it turns into a big gigantic garbage patch monster, and that is totally within the realm of possibility in comic book world.
Yeah. And even if they went for something more mundane than that, and it was just like, for some reason, some corporation is trying to get something passed so that they can dump all their waste into the ocean, and he's trying to take them on. Like, I would at least take that. But just kind of the vague, we're fighting climate change.
I can see it now. The Aquaman 3 is going to be entirely in a courtroom. He's going to be wearing a suit the entire time. He's just going to be suing corporations.
And Amber Heard's going to be the lawyer.
Yeah, and he's just going to be suing corporations that pollute.
That would be fantastic.
Aquaman runs for Congress.
That's perfect. He's just Arthur. Well, would he be allowed to? Is like I don't know if Atlantis is allowed.
He couldn't be the president. He probably could run for Congress.
He'd have to go. No, he'd have to go to the UN. They'd probably send him to the UN as some type of special envoy.
He'd be like Secretary General.
Yeah,
or something
special
like that,
envoy.
You know what actually could be cool is something to do with
we're talking about Aquaman. I really think they top out with just the fact that it's Jason Momoa,
True.
And that's it. Once you start getting into storylines for Aquaman, it's just like.
Everyone's like, because the character's historically very nerdy in the comics, and if I'm being honest,
talking to fish, man.
If I'm being honest,
they even made the joke of talking to fish.
If I'm being honest, like DC animated is I'm far more preferential to DC animated movies and television, anyways. And like, if you want good Flash, like if you want to see a good version of the Flash, you watch the DC animated world. That's where you go to see the Flash not kind of get nerfed. Granted, I fell off on. I stopped watching the CW Flash after season 3. I didn't even make it through season 3.
I will say I have watched very little DC content, and I don't think anything.
You're a Marvel guy.
I'm not even really a superhero movie guy. Like, I think I stopped watching Marvel after Endgame for the most part.
Oh, that's even fun. I didn't even see Endgame in the theaters. I waited for it to come out.
Yeah, I saw Endgame, and then I think I saw No Way Home. Yeah. But I don't think I've seen anything else other than the stuff that was on Disney, like the TV shows.
Yeah.
I think I watched Loki and I was like, eh.
I didn't even get through Loki. I didn't get through Winter Soldier. And
I liked Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Yeah.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
I liked both.
Oh.
The bad guy in Falcon the Winter Soldier is Antifa.
Yeah.
Like, it's legit Antifa. It's great.
The original Winter Soldier movie is my favorite Marvel movie. As far as I'm concerned, that's when Marvel peaked.
Honestly, the Winter Soldier was really good. I really do think. The Civil War.
Civil
War was good too
for me.
I felt the tone was more serious in Winter Soldier. It started once we introduced Peter Parker. It started getting campier. We had to get the Russo.
I didn't mind that because it was
it works.
True to
the character.
The character. Yep.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm preferential to Winter Soldier. Though if you ever watched it's really funny to watch the behind the scenes. Go watch the making of the airport scene.
Okay.
It's really funny watching them like fake beat stuff up.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really funny. So also that, and there's a really good one. I love looking at like how visual effects are done in a lot of these things. And one of my favorite is how they did in Batman vs Superman, where Bruce Wayne runs into the cloud of dust and rubble after Zod takes out the Wayne building. And it's the whole building is built from the whole street is built from scratch. They're not even filming live on a street. It's all done in
CGI,
post.
yeah.
Oh,
well, I mean, there's a very famous picture of Sir Ian McKellen crying on the set of The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Because when they filmed Lord of the Rings, they used all sorts of like perspective and actual
first
like movie
scene-
magic from the 20th century.
That's why it works.
And then they're shooting The Hobbit, and he's shooting his scene where he's sitting around at the table talking to all the dwarves, and he's alone in that room, and everything is green.
Yep.
And he's just crying because the art of theater is being lost. And I look at that, the fact that everything's CGI, all of the stories are just recycled. The writers are striking, but they haven't put anything new out in years. Like, it's absurd how stagnant Hollywood has become.
When they had less, they did more
Yeah.
with less back then because Peter Jackson had to use actual movie magic.
Yep.
This seems like the way the room rotates. Yeah,
I've been watching a lot of art critics and on like people doing lectures and stuff like that, and a lot of it I think is because we have passed away from like modern and gone into postmodern, and their postmodernism has been influential in art for long enough where people have kind of said it's kind of said what it can say, because the only thing that postmodern art really allows the viewer to make the decision as to whether it's art or whether it's not, and a lot of times it's critical of art and stuff like that. And when you're just there, or when your whole purpose is to criticize existing art and deconstruct art, it's really tough to make something compelling. And I really feel like they're running out of gas for taking stuff apart and running out of interesting ways to take existing narratives and deconstruct them. I know that I'm kind of on that today, but that's really what I think is going on. There's such a lack of creative vision in movies and stuff, and I think that's because the postmodern thing has kind of run its course, and we need people to approach art with a new, I guess, positive view of the world.
What's funny about that too is like you say postmodernism tells you that you get to decide whether it's art or not, but they're obsessed with telling you what's art and what isn't. Oh, also we got a $20 super chat here from Rhaegar Targaryen. Says the bad guy in Wonder Woman 1984 was Maxwell Lord, who has basically made Trump. Also, I'd rather see a movie where the villain is an environmental terrorist, like Poison Ivy, Ra's al Ghul, or the Marvel Ultimates version of Thor. I do miss good Ra's al Ghul.
I mean, I think those Batman movies with Ra's al with him kind of and the League of Shadows being the actual antagonist over the course of 3 movies, I think those are the best Batman movies. I'm a big fan of Ben Affleck. Like Ben Affleck as Batman, I'm into it. Totally buy it. I think he's cool. I'm a fan, man. I'm a fan. I am, but I still
he never
think
gets mentioned. They never mentioned that Liam Neeson in the race swap of Ra's al Ghul there. That's one that doesn't get mentioned in the race.
Ra's al Ghul was like Asian, right?
Yeah, like in the because he's played, and then they also had
Al Ghul would suggest he would have been like Middle Eastern.
And then also Matt Nable played him in. I actually liked Matt Nable's performance of him in Arrow, in the show Arrow. He's like, I guess Matt Nable was like a pro soccer player, or sorry, football player. And it's really funny too because like he's a bit older, but like in the early episodes when he's on the show, he's got the cape, or he's got the flowing robes and everything, supposed to look sinister, but he's just got like just rolled out of bed hair. Yep. Like, and they didn't figure out until like the last half of the season to like slick his hair back to give him like an actual villain look. Otherwise, it looks like Ra's al Ghul is just like, I'm late. Like I got to go take over. I got to go destroy. I got to go destroy Star City. Sorry guys, crap. Like he just wakes up and his hair's like this. We got another $20 one from Fresh Meat. Says boys. Also, for the poll, climate change is a worse villain to movies succeeding than Amber Heard.
Yes.
I mean, I think I don't know if Amber Heard's got her beauty going for her.
I don't.
So,
look, Amber Heard might be pretty, but I don't like her face. Doesn't even like pop into my head.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.